What's up, guys? I'm going to show you how to get Raspbian installed on your Raspberry Pi and get your Raspberry Pi up and running in no time. Let me show you the kind of gear we're going to need. So first off, we're going to need a Raspberry Pi. Here I have Raspberry Pi Zero. Here I have a Raspberry Pi 2 with the camera module, but any Raspberry Pi will do. Next off, we're going to need an SD card. So right here, I just have a normal SD card adapter because, give me a second, I'm using a micro SD card for the operating system on the Raspberry Pi Zero. So next thing we're gonna need is some type of cable to connect to a display. So here I just have an HDMI cable and my display is a monitor, so I will just be using that. You can also use a TV if you have that. Works with HDMI if you have a video adapter that can work with the Pi Model 2 and other models. But just make sure you have some way to connect your Pi to your display. Next off, we're going to need a power supply. So this is actually a power supply that came with a starter kit I bought for my Pi 2. But most phone chargers should work for this purpose as long as they're a 5-volt power supply. And to make sure that the phone charger will work, just go on the raspberrypi.org website and they have specifications for the model and the kind of power supply you're going to need to do certain applications on certain Raspberry Pi models. Other stuff we're going to need, we have a USB keyboard right here. This is mechanical, that's what I'll be using. We also need some kind of USB mouse. And once you have all that gear, we'll get right to it. Alright, the first thing we're going to do is get our SD card plugged into our computer. So to do this, I'm using this SD card adapter that I showed before with a micro SD card. These adapters come in many shapes and forms. As you can see, I have another one here that works for both SD and micro SD cards. So just feel free to grab one of these and get that right into your computer. I'm just putting it in my laptop right there, and we're good. I'm going to download the operating system. So open up your browser. Search for raspberrypi.org/downloads. Like so. Once you get to this page, just click on the Raspbian icon. And then now you're just going to download the zip for the latest version of Raspbian. For me, that's just Jesse. So. And click OK to save the file. Once you got your Raspbian zip file downloaded, we're just going to extract that real quick. So I'm just going to click on that. And I'm using a program called 7-Zip. You can use any method to unzip this file. I'm just going to use this and extract it. And I'm just going to put it right in my downloads. So just make sure you keep track of this for later use. And wait for it to copy. We're going to download a program called Win32 Disk Imager. So open up your browser again, and we're going to search for Win32 Disk Imager. And in the search, the first link that should come up is a SourceForge website, so just click on that. And once you get here, just click download. And wait. And just click save file and wait for that to download as well. Once you have the Win32 Disk Imager file installed, I'm just going to run it real quick. Just click on it. I'm just going to click yes here. And we're going to do all the setup stuff. Click next. Read through these. Or just scroll down. I accept the agreement. Next. Put whatever path you want to save this to on your computer. I'm just going to leave it as the default. I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to create a desktop icon. So I'll do that. And now we're going to install. Now we have Win32 Disk Imager and the operating system successfully downloaded. So we're just going to go ahead and open up Win32 Disk Imager. I'm going to click yes here. we're going to locate the image file, which I put in my downloads. So I'll find it right here. I'm going to open that. And by default, the E drive is my SD card, so I'm just going to leave that as is. Now we're going to click write, and we're going to click yes because we want to write to my SD card. Here, just double check to make sure that you don't have any data on your SD card that you want to lose. Because once we do this, we're going to lose that data. We're just going to have our operating system on the SD card. So we're going to click yes. And now you're going to wait for it to finish. Start properly, you should see a write successful text box. So just click OK, and we're good to go. Now we're ready to get our Pi set up and running. So let's get to it. All right, let's get the Pi set up. So here I have the Pi uncased, and I also have the SD card. So I'm going to get rolling. So the first thing I'm going to do is plug this SD card right into the SD card slot on my Pi. So throw that guy right in there. Like so. And then the next thing I'm going to do is connect my USB devices to the Pi. So here I have the USB connection for my keyboard. Pull that in. Guy right in there. And I also have the USB connection for my mouse, so I will throw that guy in as well. Right in these back USB ports. Once those guys are in there, I'm going to then plug in my HDMI cable right into the HDMI adapter. And once this is all done, we're basically just going to need to plug in our power supply. And then everything should boot up on its own. There's really no on-off button on this. So once you plug in that power supply, everything starts. And I'll show you that real quick. Alright, so now I'm just going to plug the micro USB adapter power into my Raspberry Pi, as I'm doing right here. And you should see a little LED action go on. That's good. Now I'm just going to wait to see what goes on with the text. Alright, so we just got a ton of rapidly scrolling text. This is all good. And now we're getting booted up into a desktop environment. Just wait a second. Ah, there it is. Look at that. That is so glorious. Okay. The first boot, it might take you a little longer than I just showed you, but it will get to the same spot. So I'm just going to teach you guys a couple of things to do here once you first booted up your Pi. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to something called the Linux terminal, or just the terminal. Go on that little black icon, click on it. And we're right back here. And this is actually where we were initially when we saw all that really fast scrolling text. So let me just show you some commands you're going to want to use to get all this stuff set up. So the first thing is sudo raspyconfig. So let me type it out real quick. So yeah, that's just sudo raspi-config. Once you have that, press enter on your keyboard. And you should get a nice looking window, nice blue background, got a bunch of lists. All right, let's get to doing some cool stuff. So the first thing we're gonna wanna do is expand that file system. So we are just gonna press enter on that guy. And if you see that window, don't worry. Now it's just gonna tell you to reboot. I'm just gonna click OK on this. I'll just do that later. And here we are going to do something else really quick. This is for all the people living in the US, like myself. We're going to go to the internationalization options. We're going to go to the change keyboard layout option. Get this text again. Don't be frightened by this. Just kind of go with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is choose the generic 105 key Intel PC keyboard. Press enter. English US is going to be the keyboard layout, and if you don't initially see English US like listed, just kind of navigate this list with your up and down arrow keys, and you can search for English US. I think you actually, the first time I did this, I had to click enter on English US twice. So if you're doing it once, doing it twice, both ways work out. And next thing we're going to do is the default cable layout. Sorry, the default layout as shown. Click enter. I don't want a compose key, so just click enter. don't want to do any of this X server stuff, so click no. We see this screen again, and we're back here. So now that we're finally did all that, what I'm gonna do is press the side arrow key on my keyboard, and we're gonna go down to finish, click enter, and would you like to reboot now? And I would like to reboot now, so I'm just gonna click enter. And that stuff is all good. So now it's just gonna reboot, and we're gonna get all of the settings we just made uploaded, and you guys will be ready to start any projects you want to do. So go out there and have fun, guys.